So now let's look at the properties of inequalities once again. First is the transitive property. According to this, if A is given less than B and B is given less than C, then that means A will be less than C. Next is the addition of the inequalities. Over here, if it is known that A is basically less than B and C is less than D, and now you add this A and C together and B and D together, then that means A plus C will be lesser than B plus D. Next one is addition of a constant. If A is given less than B, then if we add some constant on both sides of it, obviously A plus C will be lesser than B plus C. Remember, C I have taken as some constant. Then we have multiplication by a constant. If given that A is lesser than B and C is some positive real number, then A times C will be lesser than B times C. Similarly, if C is given as some negative real number, then A times C will be greater than B times C. Then we have taking up the reciprocals. It's known that A is lesser than B and both A and B are not equals to 0. Then obviously the reciprocal of A will be now greater than reciprocal of B. Now let's see different interval notation. The inequality is basically given as x is lesser than 3. We draw a number line, we mark the point 3. So now we will mark all those points which are lesser than 3. So this is how it looks like. Next is x is lesser than equals to 3. So that means we will mark the point 3 and this time we will include the point 3. So that's why we will put a black circle over here. So now we will include all those points which are lesser than 3 as well as number 3 as well. Then we have x greater than 3. X greater than 3 means 3 is not included, but all those values which are greater than 3 is included. Similarly, for x greater than equals to 3, we will be having 3 as well as all those values which are more than 3. Now for x greater than negative 2 and lesser than equals to 5, it will be all the points lying between negative 2 and 5, but not including negative 2 but including 5. The reason is because over here it is equal sign also. Now let's see the method how to solve the linear inequalities. We know that linear inequalities will be solved in the same way as we solve the linear equations, but with one exception. Now here is a property for it. If in the process of solving an inequality, you either multiply or divide that inequality by some negative number, then remember, the direction of the inequality gets changed. So over here it says if we have negative x greater than a, that means now I'm dividing both sides by a negative number, so I will be having x lesser than negative a. The sign of inequality gets changed. Now let's look at this first case. It says you have to solve x plus 3 lesser than 2. Now we can write down in the form of equation as x plus 3 equals to 2. So simply we will subtract 3 on both sides, but this time we are having inequality. So we will go the same way, we will subtract 3 on both sides of it. So we simply get x lesser than negative 1. So this is how we are going to show it graphically. It will contain all those points which are lesser than 1 but not including 1. Now have a look at the second case. Here we have to solve 2x lesser than equals to 9. We know that over here first of all we will divide both sides of inequality by number 2. So we get 2x over 2 lesser than equals to 9 over 2. 9 over 2 simply means 4.5. So that means our value will be x lesser than equals to 4.5. Now let's see what happens when we are having the number that is negative. We have negative 3x lesser than 27. Now we divide both sides by negative 3. So that means now this sign of inequality will change. It will get opposite now. So we have negative 3x over negative 3 greater than 27 over negative 3. 27 over negative 3 means negative 9. So we get x greater than negative 9. Now over here we have to solve these two questions. The very first says 3x minus 4 is greater than 8. So simply first of all we will be adding 4 on both the sides. So we get 3x minus 4 plus 4 greater than 8 plus 4. This simply gives us 3x greater than 12, or makes x as x greater than 4. Now look at the next question. It says we have negative 6x minus 18 lesser than negative 24. First of all, we will be adding 18 on both the sides. So we get negative 6 lesser than negative 24 plus 18. That makes it simply as negative 6x lesser than negative 6. Now we divide both sides by negative 6. Since we are dividing by a negative number, the sign gets changed. So we have x greater than 1 now.